Morning once again, E-Dirters. Hollywood Hills here, coming at you. And like I said last week, this is the roof build-up show. We're pretty much done with everything else. Well done to Gary Franks, like I said, for the other week. Well done to Lawrence Mahoney for his incredible year on the Nationals, as well as the GXCCs, to Farm Jam, to Night X, to absolutely everyone who's been involved in this year. It's been a banger. It's been a bit busy, but it has been a banger. So like we said, we are now in the closing stages of the year, building up to the huge one. 2 weeks now until most of you guys load up the trailers, the buckies, the trucks, whatever you have to do, get the thumb out and go on up to the roof. Talking about the roof this year, this is probably the best year for South Africans that I have ever seen an entry going forward into the roof. Yeah, you've got the international guys. Jarvis has taken a couple of wins at the roof. Fair play to him. And the oldest guy out there to ever have done that as well. So he'll be trying to kind of raise his game and still try and beat the young whippers. When you talk about the young whippers, of course, we're talking about Wade Young and the rest of the guys coming through. But let's talk about those two guys. There is almost a war going on between them. Hell's Gate this year, which is very much a Jarvis event, one of the extreme rounds of the Extreme Enduro World Series. That's pretty much been owned by Jarvis the last couple of years. This year, stepping brand new onto a Sherco factory ride, Wade Young took his crown. So Jarvis isn't going to be happy about that, and he has taken the beat, and he has taken a lot of wins over Wade Young since that event that happened very, very early on in the year. Remember, it was towards the end of European summer. They're now all the way through winter, and all the Euros and all the guys that are based on the World Tour are now well up to speed. So this year, let's talk international. Who have we got coming to the roof? Jarvis, big hitter, big swinger, massive threat. Alfredo Gomez. This is the first time we've seen Gomez, the Spaniard, coming on through. I don't know how he's going to do on a full GPS route. He might be a bit of a Letten Bickler situation where he doesn't tend to read the maps too well, because this isn't a marked out course like he's used to, not groomed, not marked off, not bunted, purely on navigational. So it might be a learning thing, but then again, we have seen a lot of rookies come through and win the new format of the roof. I'm talking about, of course, the Aussie Chris Birch from years back when he was on. He did a three-peat. He didn't get the 4, but he got 3 wins, and everyone's still trying to close down on that one. Wade Young's still going for his 3rd win. The other international is a bit of a wild card. Billy Bolt. I mean, the coolest name in enduro scene at the moment. Great to see an American coming across. He's a big kid as well. He's very much in the frame of Wade Young. He's a big, muscular rider, can literally power his way up all these climbs. It's going to be a question to ask whether he can also navigate as well, and whether he'll be able to cope with the intense heat that we know that the December and Lesotho, Masuru Mountains do deliver. That's going to be a hard ask. So those are our big internationals. I mentioned Letty before, his son Manuel also, but they have declined roof the last couple of years to focus on the indoor series and the FIM Enduro Cross. So they're actually, I thought last week they might be coming. I went online and checked it out. They're definitely signed up, so they're staying in Europe. They're not going to be able to make it across. Not a bad thing. Letty's got a bad bit of history with the roof, keeps getting lost, and then getting a couple of people lost along with him as well. I'm talking about Blake Goodside last year or the year before. So those are our internationals. But let's talk about the South African kids. Obviously, the top of the charts there is Wade Young. He is the big white hope there, and I think he's going to be a massive threat once again. But he is carrying a bit of a wrist injury. So it's not going to be the perfect entry into this year's roof. We have seen riders be able to overcome adversity, illness, and injuries to get a really good result. But I think in the rarefied atmosphere of the guys that are running at the top end of the roof, it's going to be a big ask. So yeah, Wade's going to be up there, strapped up, but it's going to be a very, very, very big ask for him to actually deliver exactly what he can do. And fatigue and pain will definitely come into play. That will play into the hands of the rest. But talk about the rest of the South Africans. Dwayne Kleinhams, he's come off his best national and international season for 2016. So the brother leader tread guy who used to be the king of EWXCs, is still the king of the EWXCs, but is starting to make a name for himself internationally as well. Had a real good run at the Sea to Sky. As did Scott Burvery. Very much second in command almost as far as the brother leader tread squad go. In fact, there's almost an internal war there because you've got Dwayne Kleinhams, you've got Travis Teasdale, and we'll talk about him just now, and Scott Burvery. Burvery, though, didn't make it onto the box, though, at Sea to Sky, so we know that he's coming off his best form of international status for this year as well. Travis Teasdale, on the local scene, he has been the closest rider to Wade Young and has beaten Wade Young in a stand-up fight as well. So it's kind of his time to shine as well. Did a good run last year and the year before at Roof, but there's something slightly missing there with Double T. I think this year he may be able to come to the party. You've got other riders in the mix there as well. One of the South African Sherco riders on the Supermoose squad, and that's little Kyle Flanagan. He has been putting in a lot of work, but there's a fear of little Kyle burning himself out. He's pretty much raced every single event this year. Roof is definitely the crowning glory. That's the one you want to go after, but he may be just a little bit too burnt out. We'll see. I'll definitely tag him for a top 5 finish. When you talk about the rest of the guys, some of the wild cards, I had the pleasure of working with Craig Van Heerden and his crew down at the Impy a few months back. And the Impy was very much in the mold of Roof. Some would say even harder than last year's Roof that was coming off the guys that entered this year. So you've got William Slater, the Slayer, as we called him. He is a bit of a wild card, very much a KZN local, but the Impy, like I say, was so Roof-like, and it put him in good form. He broke out his first big win, so he's a bit of a wild card there, and I expect to see him running maybe in the top 10 on day number 1. He may be strong enough, though, to climb his way into a top 5, possibly a podium, but I am going to tag him for a top 5 finish, because the Slayer really looked in good form. Again, big guy, very strong, quite muscular, stands about 6'2", so when he gets tired, when the legs get tired, and when the bike's starting to cook, he has the strength to drag that thing around as well. The rest of the guys to watch out for, Blake Goodsight. I mean, the name Goodsight is so strong and synonymous in South African motorsport. His brother Jade has been an almost guy the whole way at Roof. It just, when the Roof turned real gnarly, that's when Jade was right there at the top of the pile, but Chris Birch came across and pretty much stole his thunder, and he couldn't quite beat him every single time that the Kiwi came across. He's since hung up his boots. He did a Roof ride, I think, last year or the year before. lastminute.com. Didn't quite achieve what he wanted to. But Blake has got a different skill set on him, very light and dancey on the bike, where Jade was much more muscular. And he has been doing a lot of the international riding, basing himself in Germany for the most part of this year, and very good at the Enduro Cross sprint races. Does get lost if he follows Letty. Letty's not going to be there. So Blake Goodsight on the Yamaha is in with a good shout as well. Also the Yamahas, watch out for Mikey Pentecost. I'm not quite sure if the Motocross Kid is going to line up for that, but coming off the Proudly Bidvest Yamaha squad, do definitely watch out for Brett Swanepoel. He's got to be in the form of his life as well. He's got to be reeling after missing out on nailing down another off-road championship this year because of the problems that he had in the desert. But on the enduro side of things, he has really peaked towards the end of this season. What we're going to do now, though, is I'm going to do what I've never done before. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say who I think is going to walk away with the win. But I'm going to do that after we talk about our sponsors. Okay, we talked about BaseFit last week. They've come on board as a sponsor. They've been with us for a couple of months now. They've got some specials going forward. If you guys are enduro riders and want to go to the next level, they have got enduro rider specials running at the moment. So go speak to Mandy and Ludwig about that, and they'll hook you up. They're also still running their shirt and pit shirt specials for the Roof. So tag those guys, go see what they've got going on. For the guys from Rad as well, they're still running their Midas tires and Supermoose specials. So go see those guys. You've got around about 2 weeks to try and get those new rubbers and new boots on your bikes, and then you are hooked up for the Roof. Of course, the guys from EMD are still running all of their specials, and we will talk more about specials going forward from Roof into January, where everyone is going to just blow up the internet completely. So plenty of specials still running. Okay, I promised you guys I was going to throw out a name. Jarvis. Sorry to the SA boys. I just feel that Jarvis has got a grip on this event. I do think there's going to be a closeout of second and third place coming from our SA boys. I possibly expect to see Jarvis first, Teesdale second, Burberry third. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we have a full SA closeout, but just based on his form in the past at the Roof and the form that he's held the whole way through the international season, I think Jarvis on the Rockstar Husqvarna is probably going to walk away with another Roof victory. Let's see what happens, because in 2 weeks' time, we get to answer all of our questions. Till then, watch out. We will be talking about a few more specials next week. I'm hoping to go speak to Foss Fred from Husky and Rian Niveling from KTM next week to find out what bike choices and machinery and equipment is going to be going up to Roof. what, why, and how these bikes are going to cope with that kind of race. Till then, let's see what the next 2 weeks hold. Hollywood out. I'll see you guys out there later on. Cheers.